Yes, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Audible.
Dr. Jyoti ma'am, can we start the session?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning,
Good
ma'am.
morning, students.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Matrix Schools of Management Studies, I, Dr. Harshali Gomase, welcome our guest of honor, Dr. Jyoti Pawar madam, and the students of Matrix MBA first and second year for a session on human rights under the 4th dimension lecture series, which we have started for the students from last year under the guidance of our Honorable Director, Sir, Dr. Satish Ubade. The main objective to start this 4th dimension lecture series is to enhance the knowledge of students and also feel free to interact with our speaker. Dear student, Dr. Jyoti Pawar madam has completed his master degree in MA, master degree in LLM, master degree in MSW, master degree in personal management, and ma'am completed his PhD also. Madam has 21 years experience of academic. Madam is currently working as an associate professor at Modern Institute of Business Management. Madam has been published 35 plus papers in national and international conferences. And ma'am is authored the book of international business law. Ma'am, without waste of your time, I request, please take a charge of this session. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Over to
Thank you
ma'am.
for my nice introduction. First of all, I welcome you all for this session. I thank Dr. Shilpa Kulkarni madam to giving me this opportunity to have an interaction with the Matrix students. Then I thank to our beloved director, Mr. Satish Ubade, Dr. Satish Ubade sir, and dear Harshali madam, to giving me this opportunity to have an interaction and imparting education for us as an fraternity of law. That to be, it's our core and very important aspect of our life. That is what we think, and for which we are committed also. So for with this particular commitment, I would like to start with our session on the human rights. So human life is a human dignity, and the human dignity is very important for all of us to protect our personal liberty and personal life. So life and liberty is also a very important aspect of individual, and right to life and personal liberty is included the dignity of life. So the dignity which is being considered in human rights, that is about the freedom and the dignity. Human rights is specifically for creating the environment all over the world for giving you the dignified life. So there is no discrimination of anything. There is no discrimination of caste, creed, color. So our Mahatma Gandhi also mentions about it is always been a mystery where how men can feel themselves honored by the humiliation of their fellow beings. So what is important for us to give a dignity to others. So dignified life is very important, and that is a core of the human rights, which is being enumerated in our constitution also. Article 14, Article 21, Article 32, all these articles has mentioned about the very important aspect of the dignified life, even if a person is a criminal, even if a lady is a prostitute, or even if it is a person who is committed a crime, which may be a rarest of the rare crime. But the natural justice tells us that you have to give a chance to hear him in the transference system, that is the judicial system. So when we talk about these rights which belongs to us, which is being called, and just I said, as natural rights. So the natural right is a very important right which is being recognized by our human rights or our Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So it contains civil right, political rights, economic right, cultural rights, and social rights. So the civil rights and political rights are very important for the purposes of economical standard to be enhanced, economical the status to be enhanced, and that to be for the females and the down-to-the class of the society, or the workers, or for the people who are being called as an underprivileged. So we are giving the social rights, civil rights, and political rights, and all these rights, my dear students, is being recognized very elaborately in our constitution. So the basic document on the human right, which came into force in 1948, with the say of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Uske pehle, we are having this particular document, which is being the written document for the purposes of giving the international covenant. International covenant is International Karar, which is being called as an CPR, that is Civil Political Rights. Then International Covenant on Economical, Social, and Cultural Rights also. So it is being against the torture, it is being against the racial discrimination, it is against the specific victim groups, that is the gender, especially females are being considered as an underprivileged sometimes in the world also. It is not only in India, it is no doubt India is a male dominating society, but still the females, and the refugees, the people who are stateless, people who are not having any state wherein they can be called as a citizen of that particular country, and the children's, they are being considered as an underprivileged. And the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is having a 17 to 18 agency wherein they take care of all this. For example, WHO, FAO. So these are the very common agencies wherein we try to protect our people. So the very important aspect of this human right, which is internationally, it is being recognized, internationally it is being given the right. So this is the symbol of the UNO. This is the logo of UNO. So the UNO takes care of everything. So ultimately for us as a student of management also to understand the economics. So the international business environment, international business economics, internationally, the people who are into the part of various parts of the world has to be recognized their economic rights. So economic right is nothing but related to the social right and civil right. Unless and until you are having right to education, how you can grow in your life? Unless and until you are having the right to choose your government in the democratic country like in India, we are having the political rights wherein after the age of 18 years, you are having right to vote. So with this, we also protect the cultural rights. So in the Medha Patkar ka Andolan, what we have seen, the tribals from the Narmada Bachao Andolan has been taken care as they are the tribals and they are having right to stay on that particular part of Narmada Valley or near the Narmada River. So the civil right of them and the political right of there, and of course the cultural right, which has to be protected. So the civil right, which deals with the standards of the judiciary and the penal system. So as I mentioned earlier also, that is the judicial activism of the court is very, very important. A democratic country like in India, wherein anybody can go and knock the doors of the judiciary. So even if you are not having any single penny in your pocket, single paisa in your pocket, you can go and knock the doors of judiciary because we are having the separate act for that. And under Article 39, subclause A, it is being mentioned that any person will go and get the justice because justice is fair and reasonable. It is being given in Maneka's case, Article 21 of our Constitution, which is being called as a civil right. Right to movement is being called as a fundamental right. Further, we are going to discuss about it elaborately. I just wanted to make it a point to my dear students that our civil and political right, which is being chosen in our Constitution directly from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So it is being recognized all over the world. So the participation in the political power, as in 85th and 86th amendment to our Constitution made by then Prime Minister Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, 33% reservation was being given in the Panchayat Raj. And now the bill is before the House for the 50% reservation for females in the politics. Because as Swami Vivekananda ji also says that the women's is also a part and parcel of this chakra, and that is, it has to have a balance between the two, men and women in the society. So both of them should get the privilege and the scope. And as we have seen all over the world, now we can see the Kamala Harris there in the superpower of United States of America. She's there. So we are very proud to have thousands of the CEOs all over the world who are working the great, the best, only because it is a power which has been given by the education. Now the education is also one of the very important right, which is being focused in human rights. In our Constitution, we have given the privileges to the people who belongs to the reserve category. So for the purposes of uplifting the masses, that is a core part of the human rights, because Article 1 of the UDHR says that there is no discrimination of any sort. So absolute no discrimination. On the basis of that, we are having the political right, which is being given under this, that is being called as an Article 14 of our Constitution. So this is one of the very important covenant, international Qarar with all over the universe. So this particular economical, social, cultural right, which deals with the sphere of the human, which is working and producing and servicing about the social right, which deals with the standard of living. Now, student of management will understand what is being considered and called as a standard of living, which is being taken care in our all planning commissions, in our labor laws, in our social labor laws, or the labor legislations, which speaks about the standard of living and the quality of life of a person who are the part and parcel of these economic activities. Now, the economic activities for us as a management stream, it's the industry. Now, the people who are working in the industries is also very important part, and or rather they are the important factor of the economics of the world. Because ultimately we are contributing to our nation, to our domestic part of it or the industry. So ultimately it has for the nation and for which the people who are engaged into this, they should get a good standard of life and the standard of living, which is being enumerated in our human rights, in our constitution, in our labor laws or labor legislation. For example, the standard of life or the standard of living is being considered or is being given weightage in our Payment of Wages Act and Minimum Wages Act. Then it is being given in our Bonus Act. It is being given in our ESI, our PF, our gratuity. After the retirement, when he gives his blood and sweat to the company, after his retirement, he gets the benefit which is being considered, which is being contributed by him. Then he gets the retirement funds also. That is being called as pensions. Now the pensions is of 4 types. It is a VRS, it is a golden shake, or he may be terminated, he may be discharged from the industry. So for that matter also, the gratuity cannot be confiscated. Okay, so only in the moral turpitude cases the gratuity can be taken, can be stopped. Otherwise, the quality of life of him and his family or his dependent. So it is for the people who are engaged into this economical right, which is being recognized universally in the UDHR, in the human rights, which is being governed, which is being given the social rights and the economical right, because it goes hand in hand. Once you give the social right, for example, the education for women or girls in India, as we are in Pune, so Savitribai Phule has started the first school. So that is the basic human right of an individual to have an education. Now, education gives you another right that is being called as civil rights. The education gives you the other rights that is being called as economical rights. So empowerment of women is directly related to the human rights. Okay, and it is being recognized as it is being considered and being taken care by the various acts or the legislations of our country. The basic law of our land, which is being called as an Indian Constitution, which is exactly based on the human rights, which has been given the international covenant, and it is universally been accepted this right. So the human right is equal to civil right, human right is equal to economical, social, cultural, healthcare, housing, dwelling houses, and other privileges which comes with that. So roti, kapda, and makan, which is being given or which is being considered as a first phase of human right, natural justice, which is being given by the God. Uske baad, we are having so many rights which are included into that. So the health care is also very important. Education is important. Then the human right which applies to the poor, that is being, we are not calling them poor because we call them as an underprivileged in human rights. So this is, as we can take the example of Ethiopia. Now the foreign countries, maybe there are many countries who are not having the sufficient funds to raise because of the law, the lace industries, or there are a number of things which is being considered or which has been called as an the foreign countries, even if it is, but very lace industrial areas or the upliftment of the masses is not possible for that government. In amongst our SAARC country also, what we see nearby our country. What is the situation in Afghanistan? What is the situation in Pakistan? What is the situation there in Sri Lanka? Oh my God. So it is so horrible. What about the human rights, which is being protected as an Asians over there? So human rights violation, which is being taken care by the Human Rights Act. We do have an act in India, which is being governed, the Human Rights Act 1993 in our country. So the significance of all these rights, wherein we are going to consider because it is a justice system. Okay, so in the justice system, International Court of Justice is a very important court that is being called as an ICJ, wherein all the matters. So Saddam Hussein ka matter was also before them. So that he was being considered as an culprit or an accused before this court. So all matters of anything, any issues between the countries, between the nations, and any disputes, it goes into this particular court. So the basic important assembly that is being called in General Assembly. Then we are having the Security Council. In the Security Council, if you remember, Kofi Annan was the chief secretary for the Security Council. So the Security Council takes care of the universe of securing the people of this world. So whatever is going on in the Ukraine and Russia right now, the UN has taken care of it. Or the ICJ is now over there, the people who are engaged into this particular war or aggressive countries will face the trials in this particular court. Then we are having the trusteeship councils. Now these trusteeship councils, they take care of creating a trust amongst the people who are being called in and humans. And in the beginning, I told you that human dignity is very important for that matter. The Secretariat Council takes care of every aspect that is an administrative aspect is being taken care. And economic and social councils, which considers or which under which as a student of management, you must be aware about the ILO, International Labour Organization, which came into existence in 1919. And after that, the first ever strike held in Maharashtra by Mr. N.M. Lokhande, and under this particular recognition of the laborers or the workers. Then we know about the UNICEF. Priyanka Chopra, now she is ambassador for UNICEF. So the UNICEF, where the children's fund is being generated for the purpose of protecting the females and the ladies, as well as the children's unwedded mothers, and to take care of them. Then we are having the Development Fund for Women. We are having the United Nations Education, Scientific, Cultural Organization, that is WHO. The WHO takes care of the health issues. The health, which is very important aspect of it. The health of the universe. Now, when we talk about the health of the people who are having some issues or problems. So in that case, what we need to know, we need to understand how the WHO takes care of the health issues of the world. In Corona, we have seen the role of WHO. Now, these are the very important agencies, students, who are working in depth in our various organizations. That is, first of all, UNDP, International Labour Organization, WHO, UNIDO, ITU, UNHCR, then UPU, UNESCO, World Bank, UNICEF. Now, these are the very familiar word, FAO, Food and Agricultural Organization. Now, these are, they take a lot of care and they support the various aspects of the world and gives the decision, makes the decision and the policies for that purposes. So what is important for us to understand? Human rights education, which is very important, which is towards the social changes, which transform the theory and the practical application into everyday social practices. So the conflicting situation, if it arose, if there is an issue, there is a problems, and if it is being the target population of the daily lives, that is what has happened in very recently in Ukraine. So people were being targeted. So who takes care of it? That is the Security Council. And the protocols or the new suggestions will be given to them not to have an aggression. Like for us also in India, we're having aggression from the nearby countries, many times from Pakistan and nowadays from China also. So for the purposes of that, the Secretariat Council in UN, because it is in the interest of the human right, you must have been heard many times the people who are staying at the border side. It may be a Kachchaka border, it may be the LOC near in Kargil and all that. So people are disturbed. So that is a right to have a good life, or rather life of a safety. You must have been watched that Wednesday film of Nasiruddin Shah. So nobody knows कि Mumbai के local में चढ़ने के बाद if a person may have a good life means a safe life. Good life is safe life. Now good life includes many other things. So good life includes the health. So when we talk about the pollution, we are having the Pollution Control Board. We are having 3 major acts in India. That is air pollution, noise pollution, and water pollution. Because of the affluents which is coming out of this all this industry, which is horrible. So for the purposes of that is being taken care in our labor laws, because the strict actions will be taken if the polluted thing that is in the water, if you discharge, or if in the air, if you discharge, it amounts to an offense. It is a punishable offense. So that is what is being related to the standards, related to the standard of life of a person. And if people are targeted, for example, now the dumping of garbage. Yesterday only there was a news in the newspaper. Our Pune all garbage has been dumped in Fursundi. Actually, it is from the years, and Pune Mahanagarpalika gives them the funds to that particular Gram Panchayat. Now they says that we don't want your money, but you dissolve your garbage. Likewise, at the international level also, there are many countries who dump their garbage outside. So e-waste, as this particular generation is using all these gadgets, rather it becomes a part and parcel of our life. So we need to know how this e-waste will be distributed, how the medical waste can be dissolved. So how much machineries we are going to use, the involvement of this technology, which helps for the human right to be protected, that is being called as a standard of life, or the life with a dignity. Then we have seen many juggi jhopdis, we have seen the water resources, or how it is being used. Then we have seen how the natural resources is being exhausted. It is all related to human rights. It is all related to that particular process of building a society, which is based on what? Importantly, freedom, peace, and justice. That is being mentioned by Mr. Paul Martin, and I quote. So what is important? When it comes to the closer, when it comes to the world's map, when we talk nowadays on with the technology, we can, on the tip of our finger, we can approach any part of the world. That is the base of the technology. Rather, it is being given a very nice, there is no hardship. So it has a lot many things which we need to understand. So over here, Eleanor Roosevelt also mentioned about it, that the neighborhood who leaves the school or the college, or he attends a factory, a farm, or office where he works, such places where every man, woman, child should have or should get equal justice, equal opportunity, equal dignity, without any discrimination. So all these social thinkers who have protected and promoted the human rights of the people who may be the individual. So we need to give a dignified life to a person who is our neighborhood. So what is important aspect of the human right? I hope all of you are understanding it. Madam Harshali, am I perfectly audible to the students?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the flow is very fast, or it's fine?
Yeah, is it okay, ma'am?
Yeah. So the obligation of the action which is being considered and in the human rights, that is being called as respect and protect and fulfill. Now respect is what? Respect is reciprocal. Once you give respect, you gain a respect. If you don't give respect, you don't get respect back. So what is important in the human right, that as I mentioned earlier, that he may be a culprit, he may be accused, but we are having the jail manual in our country. So under the jail manual, 1400 calories to be given to that person who is a human. Even if he is a criminal, he is being declared by the court that he has committed a crime, because the investigation machinery is having a suspicion on that person, and then he is being declared as a criminal. So for the purposes of that, what is important is that to protect the life of the people. How to protect? To give a protection, as just now I mentioned about it, that the protection is being given by the legal sanctions. So laws. So for the purposes of that, human rights takes care of all people. He may be underprivileged, he may not be underprivileged. So it is from the from KG to PG. People who are engaged into the education, people who are engaged into the industries, people who are engaged in this in a common man. They may be the refugees, they may be the underprivileged, they may be the stateless people, they may be the people who are being considered as not having any dwelling houses, deserted people. So we do have the deserted houses, or for the children, we are having the remand homes. For the females, we are having certain houses wherein they can have a shelter homes, that is being called as shelter homes. So we are having a separate portfolio for that. We are having a separate ministry also, that is being called as social welfare ministry, to take care and to protect. Again, the protection is being given in the criminal laws or the criminal justice system. So under the criminal justice system, I would like to tell you, enumerate here one of the very important legislations, that is Indian Penal Code. So whatever the act of a person, that is when act means wrong, against that the victim can go in the court of law and can demand justice. So that is being protecting laws. As I mentioned about the labor laws, that is also protecting laws. So the protection which is being given is a very important part of the human rights. And fulfillment. Fulfillment, for example, for us as a student of management, we need to understand fulfillment is being given in our Factories Act. The fulfillment is given in health, welfare, and safety. So the safety has to be given. If a person is a bread earner of the family, his life is on the stake when he's work on the industries, on the shop floors. So for the purposes of the fulfillment of everything, we are having the numerous rights. Now we are having the Social Security Legislation 2020, which is also a very important act. And with this act, what we are having, we are going to protect, we are going to respect our industrial belt, because in the NITI Aayog or our all planning commission, we have given too much of emphasis on the industry or the industrial relation, or what we can call it as an industrial harmonious relation with the government, with the employer, with the society, with the trade union. So that is all together the fulfillment of all these obligation actions, means the legislations which takes care of it. And that's why the obligation for each and every part of the world and in the country at the domestic level, at the national level, at the international level about the human right. Then it has some obligation process. There should not be discrimination, non-discrimination. We are having CEDAW. CEDAW is there should not be discrimination against the women. On the basis of that, very, very famous case of Nargesh Mirza versus Air India. The Mirza wanted to get married. She applied for leave for 3 months and it was being rejected. She filed a writ petition in Mumbai High Court saying that it is a discriminating treatment is being given to me as a girl or as a female, because I have a right, equal justice, equal protection. Article 14 of our constitution, equal rights and equal protection is being given. So there should not be any discrimination. So if the discrimination is there, then it has to be removed. And then in that case, this is a very famous judgment given by the Honorable Supreme Court of Honorable High Court of Mumbai. Adequate progress. It is a progress to be adequately to be done in all phases. So very importantly, all the phases, it may be a child, he may be a child or she may be a child, uske baad she is an adolescent. Then we are having the Apprentice Act. If he is being into the industry, he will be governed according to the Apprentice Act. Uske baad we are having the act which is being called as an Adult Act. If a child commits a crime under the Indian Penal Code, IPC section 82 and 83 specifically governs that if he is immature to understand what he has done, even if it is a crime, but it is related to his maturity level. So when we talk about the adequate progress, it is being related to the criminal side as well as in the civil side also. We need to give a justice. In the participative participation, we need to have the participative legislations. We need to have the legislation, for example, legislation like we are having the Domestic Violence Act 2005. We are having the Dowry Prohibition Act. We are having the Widow Remarriage Act. So all these things requires what? Participation of the people of that particular universe. Okay. So, and then we are having the effective remedy for that. If under the Indian Penal Code, the punishment is being given. So different for sections are there, 509 sections are there under the Indian Penal Code, wherein we are having the effective remedy, that is the punishments and fine. Okay. So students, fine and or the rewards and punishment is two sides of one coin. So for the purposes of that, human right, how it is being protected, whether anybody is having the right to challenge them in a court of law, yes. So for that purposes, what remedy we will have, or the people should have a fear in their mind for the infringement of law. Okay. So what is expected here, that I have explained very elaborately about the respect, not to interfere directly to the people, protecting, it must stop interfering with the people's right. The state means, yeah, not Maharashtra and Gujarat. It is about the state means the nation. Fulfillment must build the legislation, institution, norms to realize their rights. Non-discrimination is the state must be discriminate, not to discriminate in his meetings and its obligation. Adequate progress must occur at the rate that show the commitment towards that particular. As I mentioned, that right to education is important right, which is being recognized. And we made an amendment for that purpose because we wanted to have a elite class of society, right? Participation and participative people we wanted. effective remedy, there is a remedy for the violation of obligation. If anything is being violated, so the violation obligation is being given. Now, the significant expressions, what we discussed, that is for me, is very to understand, or it has to be understood by the people or the listeners or my dear students about the system. That system is being called a criminal justice system related to the victims of the crime. In our country, unfortunately, victimology science or victimology, the research is not that much in a progress. So when we talk about the human right, when we talk about, for example, Best Bakery case, for example, the Tandoor murder case. So the people who are being victim into these cases, or Nirbhaya's case, again, a very, very famous case, wherein the victim has faced a very brutal pains and the victims are no more. So how these people who are being engaged into this particular crime, and why not to have any fear on with others, because every 6 to 7 seconds, one crime that is a serious crime, that is the reports, police report says that. So victimology or the criminal justice system should be so strong, so healthy, and the people will have a deterrent type of thing. So the deterrent theory of punishment is being given under the Indian in IPC. So even if you don't have the fear of the punishment, people will commit the crimes again and again. So then it is an infringement of the human right. So what is important for us to understand what human right is basically, and how the nations, United Nations, reaffirm the faith on the fundamental human rights. As the further explanation or presentation of mine will explain you about the article part 3 of our constitution, part 4 of our constitution, exactly the same thing which we have chosen from these international protocols in our constitution also. So what it's important for us that universally we have to believe on the human beings. We have to have a, in the modern name, which has been given as a natural right. As I mentioned, natural right, 3 types of rights are there, is been recognized in human right. First generation right is roti, kapda and makan, that is being called as a natural rights. Second generation right, which is being called as an self-development right. And third generation right is self-determination right. So whatever she wanted to pursue, the first right is that roti, kapda and makan, which has been given to her by state, parents. And if she's a deserted child, then of course the government has taken care in the foster homes, remand homes, because the life to be protected. Uske baad, the education is given in the second generation right. And then you must be knowing about the Maslow ka theory. So over there on that particular point, the self-determination is related to the respect. Respect. So respect has to be given. Recognition should be given. That is what we have learned earlier also. So that is very important aspect of the human right. So how the human right we can identify, or we can define rather. So it is indivisible. Nobody can take away. Basic right, which is being attached, which is being called as a complementary and supplementary to each other. So indivisible right, universal right, universally. Wherever you go in the world, you will have, you carry your human rights. Interdependent, it is depend upon the interdependency is there. Then it is again inalienable rights. Nobody can take away these rights. Nobody can remove this right. Nobody can challenge this right. And inherent right, interrelated right. So inherent means by birth you are having that. So as an Indian citizen, we in this country, we are having all rights which has been given, enumerated in our constitution, and various legislations which is there, which are being passed legislation, because constitution is a grand norm. It is a basic law of the land. And uske basis pe we are having many other acts, many other legislations, thousands of the legislations. The state is also having right to make the legislations, but the central or all the centralized laws are the compulsory laws, which is being governed, which is being given to us by our constitution. So which is available to all, irrespective of its nationality, religion, gender, economic status, political affiliations, social standing. So all are equal. Jayalalitha, Mamata, Samita, then Prime Minister Mrs. Gandhi was behind the bars. Why? Because it is equal. Kundumudi having 2,000 crores of rupees in her account, fir bhi she was behind the bars. Why? Again, it is a social standing. It is a political affiliation. It is all about the irrespective of anything, anything, absolutely. So there is no discrimination of anything. There is no discrimination of religion. There is no discrimination of gender. I've seen the Gavit sister who had murdered more than 17 to 18 children from Satara. One of the sister died. Now they were the females, but the same punishment was being given of murdering. Now that Aftab ka case also, he should be hanged till death. Kasab should be hanged till death. It happened. So there is irrespective of the nationality, because they have committed a crime on our land. So under the Indian Penal Code, it is being mentioned about the intra-territorial and extra-territorial jurisdiction. If a foreigner girl comes in Goa, and if she is being unfortunately died because of any sexual offense or any other thing, so though she belongs to the other country, but the culprits are here, if they are Indians, then definitely the matter or that particular case will be pleaded in India, not outside. So now this Abu Salem in 1993, we were not having the treaty with Portugal. That's why he was a fugitive there. Uske baad we made the treaty with Portugal, and he came back here. Rather, we brought him here. The extradition treaty, Nirav Modi, Malia, they are there in London, because they are having this citizenship over there. They are having the properties over there, but they are the extradited. They are taking the asylum in that particular country. According to us, according to the Indian government, it is illegal. So what we'll do, we will call them back. Rather, we are calling them back, and that process is going on. Excuse me. So the birthright. So there are birthright which is being occurred by acquiring by the birth itself. So it is being individual. So right to movement. The further presentation, it is being mentioned about the right to movement, fundamental right. So what is important for us, that you can move. Now, student of management must be knowing about the Shrama card. It is being given to all migrant workers. So the migrant workers, they are being migrated from other part of the state. They're coming in Maharashtra. They're working in Pune or in Mumbai, in all the metros, and they're getting all the benefits, rationing. If they show their Aadhaar card, they get all the rationing ka jo bhi dhan hai, wo sab milta hai unko. So this is very important of the implementation policy that is being related to our human rights. So it is being definite linkage of the human development. Don't you think that? If the life of a person is being dignified, it is being respected, it is being protected, so he gets, or the human right, if you get the education, you all are privileged, you are doing your masters, and you are the elite class of the society, you are a future of India. So what you are having the linkage to the human development. Definitely you will work in the industries wherein the humans are there. And you, as a good citizen of this country, with ethical managers of tomorrow, will have a good practices and will do the best. So which empowers the people to strive for the realization of their full potential. Whatever the potential, everybody is having a lot of potential. Everyone is having a lot of courage, energy, knowledge, and it has to be imparted. That is what is important. And every life is a dignified life. Every life is a very important life. And what it improves what governance. We are having the good governance, right, students? So for that purposes, the improvement of the governance, improvement of that particular government is also very important. And from last 2 decades, from last almost 50 years, what we have seen the growth in the field of education, as well as the industries. From last 20, 30 years, we have seen lot many industries because of our policy, which is being called as a mixed economic policy, which is being given to us, which is with us, with Indian government. Then we are welcoming the privatization, which is very important. So the dignity which is being individual, it is with me, my dignity is with me, your dignity is with you. But the essence of the human right is the dignity of all human beings. So all human beings all over the world, all over the universe has to be recognized and to be given the respect and dignity, which is being supported by what? Rule of law. Now that rule of law, which is according to it is being prescribed under the legal provisions of the country, as well as the globally also, that is being considered. As I'm an author of the international business law, the same laws. In Africa also, we are having the same laws. So the next part of the presentation speaks about the victim of the crime. That is what we have discussed earlier. So I'll skip this and we'll go further. I'm talking about the criminal justice system in India. So criminal justice system is very, very important. People should have a fear of committing a crime. And as we have seen in China or Japan, very less rate of crime is there because people are engaged. They are busy with their task, right? They are busy working on the various fields. So they don't have time because availability of all the resources are there. So instrumentally, the state and for the preservation of peace in the society, the protection of the rights of the people, what is important, that you should have a good criminal justice system. So it charged the duty of the maintaining the order of the in accordance with law. What is the procedure established by law? A procedure established by law in our CRPC, that is Criminal Procedure Code, Civil Procedure Code, Indian Penal Code, Indian Evidence Act. Now, all together, when we talk about the criminal justice system, and then we have given it in Maharashtra, what we are having, Bombay Police Act. So with the Bombay Police Act, we are having all the provisions laid down in the act, which has the protection and the innocence of people, and if they are being punished, innocent people. So what the law ka principle says that 99 people can be acquitted, one innocent cannot be convicted. That is the principle of law. So for that purpose, the criminal justice system, including the judges, judiciary, and the administrative people, that is police, should have a good recognition and understanding about it, and to have the attempts to reach or to get the goal to satisfy the system in the country, which is being called as, and again, it supports what? The system of the human right, or the system of the altogether criminal justice system. The vital organs of it, that is criminal courts, police organization, correctional services, and prosecution machineries. The criminal courts, as we are aware about it, at the top, we are having Supreme Court of India. Then we are having the high courts in the various states, like in Maharashtra, we are having 3 high courts. One more high court may come in, maybe in Pune or in Kolhapur. So then we are having the district court, all districts. We are having the district courts. Uske niche, we are having taluka level also, we are having the courts. So that is being called the hierarchy of the courts. Okay. Any matter, if a person who is being caught by the police, a suspicious criminal, within 24 hours, he has to be presented before the first judicial magistrate first class. Within 24 hours. If it is Chuttika court, if he is being found as Friday evening, will be brought before the court if the Saturday is off. Alternate Saturday is off in the judiciary. So he should be brought before the court who is on the dais on that Chuttika din. So within 24 hours, if a female is being caught, she has the protection. The female should accompany a female employee, that is a female who is a police lady, or the constable should be accompanied. The police organization, as we know that there are many crimes which is being committed, which is being called as an encounters and all that. That is all illegal. Then there are a number of cases. I'm going to have a presentation on that also. In the DK Basuka case, which is based on the human rights. So we have seen the mockery in the justice system also. So 3rd degree treatment, which is being given to the police, which is given by the police to the criminals, to know about the crime, ki kaise crime kiya, ye wo sab kuch. So that is not allowed in the human rights. So in the DK Basuka case, which is being decided by the Honorable Supreme Court of India, mentions is that you have to have your nameplate. When you go and you interrogate with the criminal, suspicious criminal, you have to tell them that why he is brought before this particular police department, or why the police is inquiring him. So it is what respecting the dignity of that criminal also, that is important. It should not be illegal practices should not be being followed, which is being followed, unfortunately. So the correctional services, what we are having, the foster home, remand home, juvenile justice system, what we are having, the juveniles under the age of 18 years. Earlier it was 16 years. Now it is being, after 2000, it is being amended, this particular act, and they are being brought before the court. The court is having the same procedure, only that judge who is sitting on the dais, they are not wearing the gowns, the black gowns. So it is to the child who is below the age of 18 years, is being considered as a child, and the child who is having committed a crime actually, but he will send to the correctional services, that is remand homes, or the juvenile jails. In our Yaroda jail also, we are having the juvenile jails. Okay, so this is, the trial will be taken care, but they will be given a chance, second chance to live a good life. And then he is being counseled, he is being given the scope of understanding his mistakes and to make him corrections. We are having many remand homes, NGOs are working, you know about the POSCO Act, you know about the various acts which is being considered as an NGOs. So last week only we had that Divyang ka din. So government of India, government of Maharashtra, and at all local levels, there are a number of people who work to protect the underprivileged. That is also a very important human right, because The people, they are the part and parcel of our society. So we need to have these correctional services. Then the prosecution machinery. Prosecution machinery includes the courts again, or the prosecution, how the person, when he is being suspected criminal, brought before the court, uske baad all the documents which is being submitted by the police, all the panchanamas has to be mentioned before the transparent system. Only the exemption or only the excuse into the system is under trial of the rape cases, because it is in camera. So there, no one will be there when the prosecution is being taken care, or the case is being on the dais. No one will come across, and at that time the prosecution takes care of that particular lady or the prosecutress who is the victim of that particular case. So that's why it is being called as an in-camera cases or in-camera system. So that's why the prosecution machinery is also very important in our human rights. So as I mentioned, that if he or she lodge any complaint to that particular police station within the jurisdiction, then it has to be taken into consideration, her complaint. Nowadays in Pune, or rather in Maharashtra, if you enter into the police station, cameras are there. When you are being addressed by that receptionist, and if you wanted to launch a complaint, and if your task is being done, it's fine. Otherwise, you get the call from the Pune Commissionerate Office कि भैया आपका काम हुआ कि नहीं, because all the record is being submitted every week to the Commissionerate Office. So that is about your complaint. Nobody can say that मेरा complaint लिया नहीं उन्होंने. Okay, so lodging an information to the police regarding that commission of that cognizable offense or the non-cognizable offense is duty of the police to take cognizance of your case, to take a note of your FIR, that is the first information report, if it is a cognizable offense. And cognizable offense, non-cognizable offense, the definition and the elaborative explanation is being given in our procedural established by law, in our procedural code, under our CRPC. Okay, so the complaint to the court, to the competent judicial magistrate about that particular offense, maybe a cognizable offense, maybe a non-cognizable offense, and should be taken into consideration. That is being considered as a private case. Okay, you can file a private case also. The person who is witness during the preliminary procedure under section 200, and he may be examined by the police as a police witness in the court. Examination is there in the court. It is not with the police department. Okay, it is not with the police. So police only take the witnesses, they make the panchanamas, and they forward all the documentary evidence before the dais. And then the court decides whether that particular person is a criminal or not, whether he is accused or not, what type of punishment which is being defined under the Indian Penal Code will be given. Okay, it is not the discretion of the court कि 2 years का punishment देना है या 10 साल का देना है, right? So this is all about the complaint. We'll skip this. Fine. So this is how it is being related to the human rights, universal human rights, and the Supreme Court of India. So there are a number of cases which is being decided because the Honorable Supreme Court of India, the decisions or judgments given by the Honorable Supreme Court of India becomes the source of law. We are having number of fundamental rights which is being enhanced by the judgments given by the Honorable Supreme Court of India. First of all, the very important judgment given by the Honorable Supreme Court of India under the Vishaka's case. So under the Vishaka's case, the judgment given by the Honorable Supreme Court of India, wherein we are having the Vishaka committee. Okay, so the concept or the history, if we go back in the three, generally we consider the ancient era, middleware era, and the modern era, right? For everything. So every situation or all the schools of law also, as well as all the traditional societies and everything, which is have a conceptions of justice, political legitimacy, human flourishments, and it has related to the human dignity. So in the modern era, what we are having, what we can see right now, and what you used to have in the Middle Ages. When we talk about Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, we used to have the legal sanctions has to be given by the kings. In the ancient era also, what we have seen that in ancient time also, there are number of, in India, we can have the literature which has emphasized on the legal system of the country. And of course, it is related to the human rights. So internationally, if you see the human rights, the conceptualization of the human rights, which has been credited to the natural rights, natural law, and in 1683, in Britain, it came into existence, the Bill of Rights. In 1776, in the United States of America, and then in France in 1789, during the 19th century, the human rights world, it was being introduced in the 1837. So it was being handwritten document in the 20th century on the labor unions, as we talk about the women's right. Women who are engaged into the industries to be protected, they are having right to vote. And it is about the national liberation movements in the many countries which has succeeded in the driving out the colonial power, or it is being influenced by Mahatma Gandhi's movement in India and all over the world, actually, in Africa also. So you maybe relate this to the East India Company in the 28th century, the end of the 19th century, wherein the governance of the English people were here. And as I mentioned that in the International Labour Organization, in the world, it came into existence in 1919. It has an impact, direct impact on the human rights. So it is all about the civil and political rights, that it is related to economic right. If the person is working or he's a workman in the industry, how much time he will work? What is his takeaway home? How much money should he get? How much potential he has? So all this is related to his economical factor. No doubt from the Pune district, at least from Junnar, Purandar, there are many places people are migrated. Today also we are having Baikala Chawl, or there are many chawls are there in Mumbai. People shifted, they are migrated because of the change in the political movement, because the British started at the coastal area, many industries, that is especially the cotton industries in Gujarat also. So it is all related to the movement which has given the emphasis for the economic, social and cultural rights. As when we talk about our freedom fighting movement, it is directly related of the 20th century and beginning of the 21st century, related to our Universal Declaration of Human Rights, that is UDHR. Then we have discussed about the civil and political rights, that is the International Covenant and the International Covenant on the Economic, Social and Cultural Rights also, which enshrined the Article 22 to 28 declares about the UDHR and International Covenant on the Economic, Social, Cultural Rights also is recognized. So what it is actually, it is about the reaffirm the faith in fundamental human rights, equal rights to men and women, higher standard of living, full employment, condition of the economic and social progress of the development, solutions to the international economic, social, health related to the related problems, if it is international cultural, educational cooperation, and universal respect for the observance of human rights and fundamental freedoms for all without any distinction as to race, sex, language, religion. In India, it is caste also. Okay. I would like to take your attention, my dear students, with the fact that in the today's world, now in the modern era, how you can relate it in the hybrid type of employment now. The companies wanted you to stay back and you have to work from home. There are a number of cases are there psychologically. There is a fatigueness. If you're sitting at home and working for more than 16 to 18 hours, the young generation is having actually had a very tough time. So when we talk about the standard of life, when we talk about the full employment, you cannot throw a person out. You cannot discharge, you cannot dismiss any person. That is also human right. He can go and knock the doors of judiciary. Trade union movement in India was being started with this International Labour Organization. As I mentioned earlier, Mr. N.M. Lokhande, the great freedom fighter as well as a great union leader who has started meetings in Mumbai itself, the first meeting in 1920. So that is all about, again, what we can relate this to the social progress and the development and the solutions. First of all, what is important? If there is a problem, if there is no harmony, if there is a disturbance, definitely what we need to have a good interactions for the industrial harmony. That is related to directly to our human rights. Then in the human rights, it is being considered, which is exactly is being taken in our fundamental right, that is freedom of speech, movement, future generations, we need to protect. We are talking about the sustainable development, G20 ka summit abhi hua hai. Then India is going to lead now in future. So it is all about the future generation. We are talking about and rather thinking about the future generation. That is also an important aspect of the human right. Sexual orientation jo bhi hai, now that is about the gender identity. We are having 376 article is being passed in India. So there is no differentiation, or rather it is being given a dignified life to the people who are maybe lesbians, or maybe they wanted to get married and all that. So right, respect to the private life, that is important. Of course, as I mentioned, that same-sex relationship, sexual orientation, Then we are talking about the military services. In our constitution, some of the services are being banned for the females because of her physique. But nowadays it is being open. There are a number of commandos, what we can see, marching on 26 January on our Rajpath. So this is all about the discriminating laws should be changed, or rather it is being changing in India at least, because it is respecting about the human right. Then we are having the LGBT people. And there are a number of things which is being considered by giving them the respect. So how the human rights violation, what we can think, or we need to understand what is being called as a human rights the violations. The violation is generally being seen in under this right to life, freedom of torture, freedom from slavery, right to have a fair trial, just, fair and reasonable. Justice should be what? Just, fair and reasonable. So right to be heard, and it has the impartial tribunal, and it has to have a public hearing. Only exemption is that our cases which is being related to the sexual offenses. So it is only in the interest of that particular girl to protect her. We have that in camera system. Otherwise, in the family courts also, when it is a matter of the divorce or the adoption of the children's, over there also we are having the in-camera system in the family courts. We do have a family courts act in the metropolitan cities. Right to counsel. Now, as a student of management, you must be aware about it, that right to counsel is very important, right? Wherein if a person gets the right to be heard before the under the Industrial Dispute Act also, it is being mentioned, there are a number of hierarchies being given. So he is having right to give his say about his memo, about notice, about anything. So he has a right of to say, a right to counsel is also his right. So in India, we are having this particular act. The act says that the Protection of the Human Rights Act 1993. Article 1 of the UDHR says that it is equal, free and equal in dignity and rights. And it is endowed the reasons about the consciousness and the another is spirit of the brotherhood. This is the best principle or the preamble of our constitution. Dr. Harshali, madam, I just wanted to ask you one thing.
Yes, ma'am.
So how much time I can extend, because almost half of the slides.
It's a vast topic. Yes, ma'am, I know. So you have to complete it within 5 minutes, ma'am. Is
5
it possible?
minutes?
5 to 10 minutes, yes.
Okay, fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, otherwise you may continue, no issue. But
No, you tell me, like frankly, you tell me.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Till 15 minutes?
Yeah, it's okay, ma'am.
Okay. So we're talking right now about the justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. We are talking about the preamble of our constitution. We are talking about our Gita, our Quran, our Bible of our constitution. It's the base. It is hard. This is actual prayer for all of us. It is justice is social, economical, and political. Liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. Equality of the status and opportunity to promote among them all. Fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individuals and the unity and integrity of the nation, which is very, very important for all the Indians, which is exactly having a relations to the human rights. So justice to be given to everyone. It should be social, economical, political, liberty of thought, expression, belief. If I wanted to worship any other religion than my religion, I have born and brought up as a Hindu and taken a birth in the Hindu family. So, but I can change. So that is the worshiping thing. Then belief, to whom to believe, not to believe. Expression of thought. I can go on Shanivar Vada and give a long lamba wala bhashan, but for that purpose, it should not be disturbing the unity and integrity of my nation. Okay, it should not be provoking statements. It may lead to the consequences which may disturb the community. Okay, equality of the status and opportunity, we have discussed about it. I mentioned about the CEDAW, discrimination against the women, as the distinction, exclusion, and restriction made on the basis of the sex. Only because she's a female, she's not getting all the rights. So enjoyment or the exercisable of that particular woman, irrespective of their marital status, on the basis of equality of men and women and human rights of the fundamental freedoms and the political, economical, social, cultural. So she must get all the rights. Only because she is a married woman or she is unmarried woman, she is underprivileged, or she is from XYZ caste or religion. On the contrary, in our constitution, we made the provisions for the females for the underprivileged. We are having the SC, ST, VJNT and separate reservation, separate quota for education, for jobs. Then we are having for the minorities, Jain, Muslim. We are having for the minorities also, we are having certain. I was talking about this particular very important case wherein we are having the guideline principles given by the Honorable Supreme Court of India. 17 principles laid down. And under this very important aspect, that is about the internal complaint committee has to be established. And it has to be put before that particular organization. Because as the next slide is mentioned about the human rights, which is I think we need to skip this because I need to take 5 minutes to explain all these things. So under that, what we are talking about, 6 fundamental rights about the equality, freedom from exploitation, freedom of religion, freedom of the educational right, cultural rights, that is also be protected, and the constitutional remedies. Article 32 and Article 226 in our constitution about the constitutional remedy. So that is related to directly to the public interest litigation. You can go in the court of law, in the Supreme Court of India, and under 226 you can go in the high courts and can mention about what is there. So what it is all about the judicial activism of the court. Public interest litigation has given the birth to many other legal rights, that is being natural rights or the fundamental rights, as right against right to have a health, right against the medical, right for the medical treatment, right for the against the pollution. Okay, all these rights came from the judicial activism of the honorable courts, and then it becomes law. In UGC has given this human right lecture is being governed under that. So that is compulsory for you, for the student who are completing or doing their PG course should know about the human right, should know about the Constitution of India. Okay, then in law, the student should know about the labor laws and environmental law. So UGC has made it compulsory because the judgment given by the Honorable Court, Supreme Court of India and various high courts of the country, it becomes compulsory courses for you. Okay, so that's why it is being called as a judicial activism of the court. As I mentioned about the Maneka Gandhi's case, in this particular case, the court has given judgment about the civil liberties and the fundamental rights. So it should be just, fair and reasonable. You must have been seen in Kasabka case also. We have conducted that case. We have spent lots of money to protect him. People used to feel कि इसको क्यों रखा है? But we wanted to prove because justice is very transparent. And then equality before law and equal protection of law. Whoever commits any crime, there should not be any discrimination on the ground of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth. Article 21, very fantastic article of our constitution, protection of life and personal liberty. Exactly whatever we have chosen, we have taken from our UDHR, from our human rights, international various organization or various agencies of the UN. From that, we have chosen all this. So no person shall be deprived of his life, personal liberty, except according to the procedure established by law. Okay. Article 32, I mentioned to you, then one can go before the Supreme Court and can make a writ petition of habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, quo warranto, and certiorari. So for this, you can challenge whom? The authority, maybe the police, or maybe the government. You can challenge them in the writ petition. These are the important articles to be understood. That is Article 19, protection of certain rights regarding the freedom of speech. 21, 38, the state to secure the social order for the promotion of the welfare of the people. Article 39, policy to be followed by the state. And Article 39A, as I mentioned earlier, equal justice and free legal aid. So you get the free legal aid. Now this is for Article 20, subclause 3, wherein self-incrimination is not expected. If the police ask you whether you have committed that crime, so you can say that I'm innocent. 99.9% cases, people say that I'm innocent. And the burden of proof lying on the shoulder of the person who goes in the court of law. So यहाँ पे the police department or the Sarkar has to prove the guilt of the accused. I would like to show you some very important aspect of Article 21. So degrading treatment should not be given, even if he is a convicted person in the court of law. Sunil Batra, who filed a case, who was a culprit, so he was behind the bars. So he was given the sentence of death. Death punishment was being given. But he says that he has played the important aspect of the challenging the system, government system, that nobody can have in the handcuffing. दंडा बेडी घालू नाही शकत ना, दोरानी बांधता नाही. So Sunil Batra sat directly in Delhi High Court saying that to remove his danda bedi, and then it was being removed. So this is all about the then under trial prisoner Hussain Khatun's case is a very, very important case. When this Hussain Khatun was behind the bars for more than long period, more than 13 years under trial prisoner, but she wrote one 10 paise ka sada wala postcard to Supreme Court of India, and the judgment was being given, and that particular letter, the 10 paisa letter, was being considered as an writ petition, and the speedy trial was being conducted. Now you must be knowing about under the human rights what we are considering video conferencing. Just today also we are meeting online, so that video conferencing is also a part and parcel of it. Okay, so Hussain Khatun's case, which the judgment given in this particular case, is a very important aspect of it. DK Basu, as I mentioned earlier, most of the rights which is being given to the police, and police should not take a disadvantage of it under the procedure following or doing the investigation machinery. So the guideline principles are being given. What are they? The police officer should carry the visible, clear identification. So unhone uniform, they should wear the uniform. They should have their name tag, nameplate. They should have. Okay, they should give the memo of the arrest should be given. Information of the arrest should be given. So these are the conditions under the human rights, because it is a human right of that person to know why he is being convicted or why he is being called by the police. Medical examination. In many sexual offenses cases, medical examination, if it is delayed, they cannot get the evidence. The doctors, they may say that it is being delayed, and delayed defeats equity. And that is a principle of equity law. So it is very important to have a medical examination, not only the cases of the sexual offenses, but all offenses. It's very important to have a medical examination. And copies should be given to the arrested people. Then we are having the police control room, wherein it is being displayed, everything. We'll skip this recommendations because fine. So exactly it is 12:10, madam. So I quote Martin Luther King: virtually no one actually rejects the principle of defending human rights, but they are being violated virtually everywhere. We can see the many thousands of the children's that is being called as child laborers or the child workers everywhere. But we are having in our Maharashtra also, we are having act which is being called as an child labor into bracket rehabilitation act. So this is a mockery. That is what I say. So from my end, I have concluded my session. And I conclude with the individuals is absolute, his or her reality must be recognized unconditionally and necessarily lies at the basis of the human right. So first of all, human right, dignified human right. Fortunately, we are Indians. We are following, Indian government is following all the human rights, giving protection to all sectors of the society. And especially we made the many laws also on the basis of the guidelines given by the UN. Okay. So I conclude my session by thanking you all, Dr. Harshali, for having and coordinating this particular session of mine, taking a follow-up from me. And I thanks our director, sir, Ubale sir, and Dr. Shilpa Kulkarni madam, and my dear students for your patient listening. If you want to have an interaction for question and answer, or you can, madam can share my mail ID to them. Thank you so much.
Yes, definitely. Yes, students, dear students, anyone want to ask any questions? And I request to all of you, please switch on your video if possible. So I will take a snapshot with ma'am.
No questions?
Anyone want to ask?
That's fine, ma'am. It's fine.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, ma'am. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yes, for conducting this session of human rights, because it's a very big and vast subject. But your thoughts and experience have enlightened our student minds and have shown us a new path how to give a respect and take respect, because we are all a human being, and that is really, really matter for all of us. We share very, very good examples in Russia, Ukraine war, even our celebrities, what they have think. and it's really good for us. So I again thanks to you, ma'am, for giving us your
Thank you, ma'am.
session
Thank you so
time,
much.
and
Yeah.
in your busy schedule.
My pleasure.
Really means a lot of us, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Yeah.
Good day, ma'am.
Done with the screenshot?
Yes, ma'am.
Photograph?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank
Have a
you.
good day, ma'am.
Thank you, students. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Bye-bye.